Alright, y'all boys, we back with another Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade video, and today we're going to be talking about if you should summon for Mai. So, as you know, Mai dropped about roughly 2 or 3 days ago, right, on the Japanese version. Of course, I myself was not expecting Mai to be the next character, but I can understand where they're trying to come from. As you know, the last character before Mai was Maki, right? So, I guess now they decide, okay, let's just release a Mai. So, this is going to be the very first SSR Mai, and she's red type, right? So let's actually talk about what she does, and then I'll kind of give you like an overall idea if she's worth it to you or not, right? Because obviously it's going to depend on your situation. I do think she's a pretty good unit for what she does, and she does have like a unique mechanic which is slightly different to other characters. Now it's still under the same basis, but the way that she functions is a little bit different, right? So let's get right into it. So she's going to be a debuffer character, and her main DPS damage output is going to be taijutsu, right? So if you have characters that can increase taijutsu damage, the better, right? But I mean, realistically, her role is not to be your carry, but to actually be your debuffer. So it's not really like you need to prioritize her damage anyways, right? It's mainly about what she is debuffing. That's good that we're going to talk about. So we're gonna have her first skill, right? We're just gonna go in order, of course, with each kit, and we're gonna start at level 10 so you can kind of get a grasp of it. So we got skill 1, gunshot, right? Deals 135% range taijutsu damage to a selected enemy. So one thing I want to note is this character functions with 2 different ammos, and depending on what ammo you have will change the effect of your skills, right? So if you use gunshot while you have special ammo, you can delay the enemy's action by 1 turn, 10% chance. Very low, not really too important. I don't think you're going to really use this that often, if I'm being real, just because you have to, it's just too low, 10%. And when you actually need it at a critical moment, it won't be up anyways, right? So you're gambling extremely difficult, is an extremely difficult gamble here. So realistically, you're probably not going to be using gunshot with special ammo. Next up, we have the enhanced ammo state. So basically, gunshot, if it is with the enhanced ammo state, you deal 120% range taijutsu damage to all enemies and increases all enemies damage received by 20% for 2 turns. So overall, that's actually pretty nice debuff to the enemies, because it is an AoE debuff to all enemies. So yeah, I mean, like, it's really, you can't complain about it, and it's for 2 turns, so it's pretty good overall. There's of course other characters that may do it better, but when we keep talking a little bit more about what her kid does, then you'll kind of get like, be like, okay, so she might actually be better than what she appears to be, right? Next up, we have reload special ammo, right? And then you also notice that skill 3 is reload enhanced ammo. This is basically how you select which ammo you're going to be having active. So it deals excuse me, let me go to level 10. Deals 150% range taijutsu damage to 1 enemy, and then delays enemy's action by 1 turn, 20% chance. Again, it's still very low probability, and like I said, when you actually need it, what is the chances of it actually delaying them? I'd rather still go with like CC of, like, you know, stuns, anything else, and realistically anything seals, whatever, better than this in my opinion. So now if you have special ammo or enhanced ammo, if own follow-up rate is 40%, so basically in her auto skills, like her passives, she already has a base rate of 40%, right? So this is going to change the 40% base rate to 80% for 2 turns. So overall, that's pretty good. If you don't know how follow-ups function, is basically she'll have an application to herself that increases her follow-up attack rate, and anybody else who attacks on your team, she has a chance of that 80% to proc, right? So if you have 3 other characters, you have an 8% chance to proc on one character, 8% chance to proc on another character, and 8% chance to proc on the final character of your team. So you want to have her in the front, so that way she can do her skills first, and then, you know, you'll have at least 3 characters in the back to, you know, try to follow up off of. So overall, that's pretty good, right? It would, and then its actual effect will deactivate special or enhanced ammo. So basically what this means is it wipes it completely. It's a clean slate, and then it will reapply a new buff, which will be the special ammo state. So just like, don't think too hard about this. This just means like whatever ammo state you're in, it doesn't matter. You're going to be in a special ammo state when you activate that skill. Now we have skill 3 enhanced ammo. So at level 10, it deals 140% taijutsu damage to all enemies and increases all enemies damage received by 30%. Overall, really good, especially for 2 turns. There is better characters, but the fact that they can do an application to all enemies and very simple for only 25 curse energy, it's overall pretty good, right? And there's still more to her kit aside from just the skills base, because like I said, her passives are going to be very important on how she functions. Next up, if special ammo or enhanced ammo state. Okay, so basically the same thing as her other skill, where it will increase your follow-up attack rate from 40% to 8%. So overall, you'll still always have, as long as you're maintaining your cursed energy correctly, you should always have a follow-up attack rate of 80%, right? Because it lasts 2 turns, and I believe you get like 10 every turn or something like that, cursed energy. So you can manage it perfectly fine. Deactivates own special ammo, so basically the same thing as the other one, except this time it's going to be enhanced ammo state. And this is going to be important when we talk about the passive, so just keep that in the back of your mind as we go through. Next up, you have her ultimate. So her ultimate is okay. So her ultimate deals combined damage of taijutsu and jujutsu to a selected enemy, and then it increases the selected enemy's damage received by 80% for 2 turns. And then it also increases your follow-up attack rate by 100% for 2 turns, right? So overall, if you obviously you're going to have her in the first slot, you'll be able to activate this effect. Boom, now you're going to increase the damage received of that enemy by 80%. Before you even get to your ultimate, you should have one of these buffs already active. Recommended that it be the enhanced ammo, which will already apply an increased damage received debuff to an enemy by 30%. And then you'll have also an increase 80% to a specific enemy. And then you're also going to increase your follow-up attack rate to 100%, which is overall nice for her kit. So at first glance, you'd be like, okay, well, she's just a debuffer, right? But there's other debuffers in the game, right? Like Mega Man and stuff, right? You'd be like, oh, God, I could just use him. Well, this is where she changes a little bit and plays a lot better than a lot of debuffers in some certain scenarios, right? So we have her passive skill, right? Pursuit. So when an ally targets an enemy with a command skill or ultimate skill, deals taijutsu damage to the ally selected enemy, chance 40%, right? But keep in mind, you can increase the chance to 80% with your skills and then 100% with your ultimate, right? So that means anytime your allies do anything, you're going to have a chance to attack with them. And then if you have special ammo stay active, you deal it. Just don't pay too much mind to the actual damage. It's more of the effects, right? So you have a chance to delay the enemy's action by 1 turn, and it's a 20% chance. So you have 3 allies, you'll have a 20% chance, 20% chance, 20% chance, right? Overall from the 3 other characters if you have her in the first slot. So overall, it's still kind of iffy, right? Because it's only going to be that specific enemy. But then when you go to the enhanced ammo state, if you're in the enhanced ammo state, deals taijutsu damage to all enemies, increases all enemies' damage received by 30%. So what this ends up doing is you end up using your skill 3 to activate enhanced ammo. You will apply an increased damage received by 30% to an enemy, right? You'll have 8% follow-up attack. You do your turns or whatever. You're gonna get your ultimate, right? You use your ultimate on an enemy. Boom, now you have 100% follow-up attack rate. You also increase the damage of one specific target. It may be a boss or a random mob. So now they're gonna take big damage, right? And then you're going to have your auto skill with the enhanced ammo state, right? Because you should have it active. Like if you're managing the character, you should have it active, which means you're going to be able to apply 30% damage received to the enemy, right? Every time you attack, right? Because your ultimate gives you a follow-up rate of 100%, which means you can proc this effect 3 times on top of the fact that your ultimate skill also increases damage received to the enemy. So overall, she gets a really high modifier on the damage increase on the enemies. She kind of has like one of the highest ceilings. Of course, it is all RNG unless you get her ult, right? Like it is RNG with her skills, but with her ult specifically, once you get to her ult and you activate that, and then you just follow up with all your other characters, you're gonna do an insane amount of damage. You're definitely gonna want to have your hard hitters beat the 4th slot in your team, so that way you can try to get as many of the increased damage received as possible before it gets to their turn, right? So overall, she's a really insane debuffer. So I'll kind of show you kind of a clip of what people were doing with her. And yeah, and then the one other thing is under 50% HP, then she gets stealth, which grants conceal to self for 4 turns. It's kind of whatever, I'm not gonna lie. She debuffs the enemy so much that you always have a damage increase to the enemy, like the damage received debuff to the enemies is just like, it's so good. And then if you pair her up with another character that only really provides buffs, for example, like Momo, Momo, she provides like break damage buff, damage buff, taijutsu, all that stuff. I believe crit rate as well, crit damage, all that good stuff, right? She also lowers like crit resistance to the enemy and stuff like that. You put her with Mai, boom, you're cooking. You're absolutely demolishing everything. Constantly applying debuffs, constantly applying buffs to your team. You're just doing so much damage. Now, so far so good. Her character seems pretty good. Like, I don't think she's really that bad at all. Now, she might seem at first glance like a bad character, but I think overall she's pretty powerful in the role that she's applied in, which is her debuffer role. I don't really see anything wrong with it, and it has very good consistency. Overall, I think she's a pretty good character. Don't get me wrong, she's really good and very unique and very different than other characters, especially for the debuffers. Now, would I say should you pull for her? I would only give you one scenario that you should even pull for her. And that's if you do not have Megumin. If you do not have Domain Expansion Megumin, you probably want her because you're going to want to have as many another character to actually apply these debuffs consistently, right? Now, there is some other characters that do apply debuffs, like, for example, the SR Yaga. The SR Yaga is not bad, right? You can use him. Don't get me wrong. He's really good. He's a really good character. But I feel like she's more consistent and will always have that debuff on the enemies. So overall, I just think you should probably skip this character unless you don't have Megumin. If you don't have Megumin, then you should pull this character. But do keep in mind, in about 2 months from now, we do have the anniversary, and I mean, you never know what could happen on the anniversary. Maybe add more characters to the standard pool. Maybe she might make it. Who knows? Maybe there might be a ticket that we can use that she'll probably be inside of it. Who knows? It's all open from there, so you have to be weary of it. But obviously, in my opinion, if you have Megumin, then you don't need her unless you like the character. If you don't have Megumin, you should probably get her or try to pull Megumin from the Raid Up banner. That's how I see it. He is a standard character now, right? So you have more access to him than Mai. But I think it's still nice to have her. Ultimately, that's my opinion on it. If you have Megumin, don't pull for her. If you don't, then you do pull for her, right? So anyways, that's going to be the end of the video, and I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.